As quilters, we have so much to choose from when we go to make a quilt. When we're ready to quilt, we have patterns and we have fabric and all those nuggets of ideas floating around in our head. And sometimes it can be hard to get that idea nailed down and know exactly what we're going to make. But do you ever get to the point where you have a plan and then maybe you change your mind before you even start? This is that for me. I'm Leah Louise from Inspired Quilting by Leah Louise, and I want to show you my baby bricks pattern. The bright bold one with all the yellows and reds is the original baby quilt that I made. The other blue and green one that you can see is one that I made most recently and just made it this week, and it's with beautiful batiks. And I couldn't decide what to do and which background to use, and I finally settled on a low volume, and it is a gorgeous fit. I also made a little modification in this particular pattern that's going to save you on cutting time and sewing time. It means fewer seams to match, so this is a great option. So don't miss this free quilt pattern down below. So let's get started. I want to show this to you. And please don't forget, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you following along with all my quilts. It's good to have you here today. Let's quilt. Here's a dozen pretty batiks that are going to make a beautiful quilt. And I have this great low volume background that I'm really excited about. If you watched my last video, we talked about different fabrics that go together. And this is a selection that I pulled that I want to make my baby bricks pattern with. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make this a little bit differently. This is done strictly with charm squares. What I'm going to do instead is make the background out of a larger rectangle. We'll still keep the charm squares for the focal fabric just because I think that's a lot of fun and adds some great color. But for the background, we're going to use a single fabric. So I want to show you how that works. But first, we want to talk just a little bit more about fabric. So this is the dozen fat quarters that came in the bundle that I have, and this is the background that I've selected. I like this background because it's creamy to match the highlights in these fabrics. Nothing is particularly white. They all just have kind of a bright creamy color. And then there's lots of blues and greens, and that's a perfect combination for this particular quilt that I'm going to make. So I wanted to add some more colors. A dozen colors is great, but I like, especially in a quilt like this where there's lots of squares that I can mix up, I like to have lots and lots of different prints. So the first thing I did was go through my 5-inch pile. I use a lot of fat quarters, and when I use a fat quarter and I have some leftovers, I generally cut what's left into 5-inch squares because I find that so handy. And these are some that I've used over the past, probably, I don't know, within the last year. And I really like them, and you see how well they go with this. They bring in a lot of the same colors. There's some of the blues and a little bit of this green here, and this is sort of a different, what do I want to say? It almost looks like a sun print. I really like that ferny print. And this brings some of the dark navy into the lighter greens. So that's going to add a lot of interest here. Now, the other thing I did was bring in some blues. And because you see we have this dark navy in here, and I thought some of these blues would be kind of interesting. And then I wanted to get prints, batiks, that have some color in them, not just monochromatic, because there are some in here that are going to be relatively monochromatic. They're sort of a wash. They have that I guess a wash look. There's a name for it, and I apologize, I don't know what that's called. It's like a marble effect, but just in a single color. And I like it, it works great, but I want to add more interest to that. So I have some that I've used before, just some fun fabrics. Some of these are a bit dark, and I'm not sure that I'm going to use all these dark prints in here, because there's some darks here, and we've got this bright background. I want to have dark to have the contrast, but I don't want to have too much dark. So I thought, all right, what else can I bring in And there's little bits here and there of this bright electric blue, and it's almost a little bit turquoise. Well, I love turquoise. And so I found this little group of 5-inch squares that I thought would be wonderful. This is a light turquoise. It has a white, real fine white pattern on there. And this is just a fun turquoise with some great colors mixed in. And this brings in some yellow. And I like the yellow because that's going to add the pops of color. That's going to bring in some great contrast that we're really going to appreciate. Then I found these other blues that I had, and check these out. Now, these are very white, and compared to some of these, and I'm not sure I'm going to go with these white ones, but I do like these lighter blues. It brightens the quilt up a bit, and we've got another turquoise here, and you see this is the same as this, but it's reverse, where the light is the pattern and the dark color is the background. So that'll be kind of fun to mix in, but I'm probably not going to use these two. Now, what I like is this little bit of olive. See how in here we've got some olive green, that sort of a golden color along the edges, and it works into olive. Well, that's one of my favorites. And I have some here that I was really anxious to work with. So, of course, I love the sunflowers. They're wonderful. But look at this bright green. It has the turquoise. Look at, we've got the gold and yellow. So that's a really good mix. And then I have some olive colors. And there's only one of this. I wish I had more because that's kind of a fun print. But see how this green is very similar, but it has the bits of yellow in there. And that's going to work really well to carry this yellow throughout the quilt. And check this out. Look at that. We've got some gold in here. That's going to be the same. And this is just a fun olive print. I love the little filigree there. So these are going to work wonderfully. So see how this is taking on a new little bit of a color direction? We get the turquoise in there. We get the olives and the gold. So now we've got more contrast, a bit more interest. And then I found a few more. I'm just going to start piling these around. These are fun. And I like these striped pieces with the different colors. This has a little purple. I might be able to cut selectively over here. I don't have too much purple. I don't want to bring purple in. I don't want one more color. I like the green and blue with the yellow highlights. And then check this out. Isn't that pretty? I love these ferns. And again, we're bringing in that yellow that's going to be kind of scattered throughout the quilt. Now, I found a couple more. Here's a bit of a darker olive green, and I think that's going to look nice. It has an interesting pattern, very different from anything else in here, so I think that's going to be great. Here's one. It's got that more of a golden yellow olive background with the darker green as the pattern on front. And you know, you heard me say I don't want purple, right? And I don't want purple, but check this out. It has a dark purple background, and I think I can get away with that because there are some other dark colors. I think this will blend in okay. But look at the turquoise and the yellow outline on those flowers. That's absolutely perfect for this. So that's going in. Excuse me. This one is definitely going to go in. We're going to use that. And just in case, I'm not sure if I'm going with this or not, but I always like to throw something in that's kind of a surprise. And this is really a surprise. I'm just not quite sure what I think about it, and I'm just going to have to look at it a bit. But here we have our greens with some blue and a bit of that red, just because. And here's a multi-print that has a lot of the similar colors. They have some interesting kind of prints in there. Eek, that's kind of pink and purple, I'm not sure, and pink. I don't know that these guys are going in. I can probably put this one in. I'm not feeling the whole pink thing going there. And even this, I think, is a bit too much. You know, I don't think we need to bring that red in. I think we're going to go just fine with what we have right here. Now, I'll probably pull out some of the darker ones here just because I don't want to have too many darks, but I want to keep the brights in, and I think we have a great selection right here. So this is where we're going with the quilt. And now what I'm going to do is cut out my 5-inch squares. And this particular quilt, if you use charm packs, you just need one charm pack for the focal fabric and a charm pack for the background. But since I'm using a solid background, or excuse me, I'm using the same fabric for the background, I am going to cut these into rectangles, and that'll be in the pattern. This is a free download, so make sure you download this pattern below. And if you downloaded it previously before I added this variation to it, then you should be getting an email with the updated pattern. If not, go ahead and just re-request it down below and it'll come right into your inbox. So here we are. We've got some great fabrics. I need to do some cutting. Let me go ahead and pull this together. I'll show you what we have, what it's going to look like. And we're going to have a quilt before you know it. That's what I love about this baby bricks pattern. It goes together so quickly. Just look at this layout. It's just about pairing up your blocks. And these are paired. If I put this up real close, you can see how these are 2 blocks put together, these background. They're low volume 5-inch squares, and I just sewed them together. But in this case, we're going to make that a single rectangle. So this will go together so much more quickly. That saves about a third of your sewing time, not to mention we don't have to do so much cutting. So we're good. This is great. I love the quilt. I'm going to get this cut out, and I'll show you what we do next. So hang in there. We're almost ready to get this put together. So here are my final 42 squares that I'm going to use in the quilt. I actually only had 38 different fabrics, using one of each fabric. So I grabbed 4 more of 4 that I particularly liked. And I wanted to bring some more of that yellow in the quilt, and I thought that would be kind of fun. And then these 2 were just pretty little prints, and I thought that would be great too. So the other thing I have here is I've cut my background. And these are 5 inches by 9.5. So when I pair these up, my 5-inch and 5-inch, once they're sewn, they become 9.5. So that's how I'm going to get my block right there. And then there's going to be a couple spots on the edges. I'll need some 5-inch squares to fill in the pattern. And that's it. Now I'm just going to start chain piecing, putting it together, and we'll have a quilt. How simple is that? And here's our quilt pieced. It needs a good pressing and a thread removal. Oh my goodness, I've got thread everywhere. But look at this. Look at these blocks. The beautiful way they just, go diagonally. And by adding these double-sized blocks, we saved ourselves a lot of matching seams. Because these are double-sized, we don't have to match these seams in between. So that was an even more of a time saver that I hadn't anticipated until I sat down to sew this, and I'm going, well, wait a minute, that works out great. So I love all the colors. They work out beautifully, and there's a good balance of everything throughout the quilt. I can't wait to get a full shot of it for you. And I still have some final pressing, but I wanted to show this to you while I was still working on it. And like I said, there's a lot of threads. This fabric was a bit ravelly, but that's okay. It's a beauty. And I sure like these little purple background flowers. That worked out well. And on these turquoise, I chose more of the yellow and golden colors, which works out really well. And we've got the greens. Oh, it's so pretty. I think it turned out wonderful. Fantastic. Well, I hope you love it, and I hope you're going to give it a try. Remember, the pattern's a freebie. It's down below. It's a free download. Just add your email, and the pattern will be sent right to you. And don't forget, hashtag Leah Louise Quilts on Instagram. Go ahead and put your quilts on there, or put the fabric that you're going to choose. Find a good group of fabrics that you like and put that on there, and we can get some feedback. That's always fun. But in the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day and you enjoyed this quilt and you're going to make your own very soon. It is a quick and easy one. Thanks so much for being here, and if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and to share on all your social media channels. Have a great day, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks for being here.